the first scream is never the one that escapes your mouth. It's the one that rises silently in your chest when something feels wrong and you can't explain why. Tonight is not about cheap scares or shadows that vanish when the lights come on. Tonight is about moments that truly happened. Moments where ordinary people stood face to face with fear so real it carved itself into their memory forever. As you listen, you may feel your heart race, your breath slow, your senses sharpen, but beneath the terror lives something deeper, something human. These stories are not only meant to unsettle you, but to remind you that even in the darkest moments, there are lessons waiting to be learned, lessons about survival, awareness, faith, courage, and the quiet strength that awakens when fear threatens to swallow us whole. Fear has a language of its own, and it speaks long before danger reveals its face. It whispers in the pit of your stomach, in the tightening of your shoulders, in that sudden urge to leave, even when nothing looks wrong. Many people learn too late that fear is not weakness. It is instinct, ancient, and protective. In the early 1990s, a woman named Elaine finished her late shift at a small roadside diner and stepped into the cold night. Snow drifted down softly, the world muted and empty. Her drive home was familiar, almost comforting, until she noticed headlights behind her, too close, too patient. Every turn she took, they followed. She told herself she was tired, that she was imagining things. But her heart beat harder with every mile. When she slowed, the car slowed. When she sped up, it stayed with her. Eventually, on a narrow road lined with dark trees, the headlights flashed insistently. A man stepped out, smiling too easily, saying her taillight was broken. His voice was calm, rehearsed, but his eyes kept drifting, measuring her, her car, the darkness around them. Elaine felt fear surge through her like ice water. She remembered her mother's words from years ago, words she had never fully understood until that moment. Fear is not there to hurt you, it's there to warn you. She didn't argue. She didn't apologize. She locked her door, pressed the accelerator, and drove until the world blurred. She didn't stop until she reached a police station miles away. Later, she learned the man was wanted for assault, connected to disappearances along that same road. For years afterward, Elaine said the most terrifying part wasn't the man who followed her, but how close she came to ignoring the fear that saved her life. Fear will often be dismissed by logic, by politeness, by the desire not to offend. But the lesson lingers in every shadowed road and uneasy silence. Trust the fear that tries to protect you, because it may be the only thing standing between you and the moment that changes everything. Sometimes, fear becomes most powerful when you are completely alone. Isolation strips away comfort and forces you to confront the raw edges of your mind. In 1978, a park ranger named Thomas volunteered for a winter assignment in a remote forest station. Snowstorms cut off all access, leaving him weeks away from human contact. At first, the silence felt peaceful, almost sacred. But as nights passed, the quiet grew heavy. He began hearing footsteps crunching outside his cabin long after midnight. He heard breathing near the windows, slow and deliberate. Knocking echoed through the walls, stopping the instant he reached for the door. One morning, he found massive footprints circling the cabin, deeper and larger than any animal he knew. Fear threatened to unravel him. Sleep became fragmented, his thoughts racing in the dark. Yet instead of surrendering, Thomas chose routine. He reinforced the doors, kept the lights low, wrote in his journal, and prayed every night not for the fear to vanish, but for strength to endure it. When rescue finally arrived weeks later, investigators found no evidence of intruders or animals. Whatever haunted those nights left no physical trace. But Thomas returned changed. The isolation had stripped him bare, and what remained was resilience. In solitude, fear can either consume you or reveal who you truly are when no one else is watching. Some of the most horrifying truths emerge not from the unknown, but from what we think we know. Evil rarely announces itself with claws or glowing eyes. More often, it smiles, waves, and earns your trust. In a quiet neighborhood in the early 2000s, parents felt safe, letting their children play outside. A friendly security guard greeted everyone by name, helped carry groceries, fixed broken fences. When a young boy went missing, the community searched together, hearts united, trusting one another. No one suspected the guard, until security footage revealed what no one wanted to believe. The betrayal cut deeper than the crime itself. Parents questioned their judgment. Neighbors questioned their instincts. But from that devastation came awareness. The community grew closer, more vigilant, more protective. The lesson was painful but enduring. Discernment is not cruelty, and awareness is not paranoia. Trust must be paired with wisdom, because evil often hides behind familiarity. Fear does not disappear when courage arrives. Courage exists because fear is present. A nurse named Farah learned this during a late-night shift in an aging hospital. The halls were quiet, lights dimmed, machines humming softly. Near midnight, she heard crying echo from a supposedly empty ward. The sound was thin, desperate, almost ghostly. Every instinct urged her to call security, to avoid the darkness. But something stronger pulled her forward. She followed the sound and found an elderly patient, mistakenly left behind after surgery, bleeding internally, and slipping in and out of consciousness. That cry, mistaken for something supernatural, was a human life reaching out. Farah acted quickly, calling for help, stabilizing the patient until doctors arrived. Later, she admitted her hands shook the entire time. Courage did not make her fearless. It made her present. Fear may freeze some, but courage moves even while trembling. When logic fails and explanations run dry, many people turn inward, toward faith. Darkness has a way of shaking belief, but it can also strengthen it. In a rural village, a family experienced weeks of unexplainable disturbances. Objects moved on their own, whispers echoed through empty rooms, shadows lingered too long. Police found nothing. Doctors offered no answers. The family began sleeping in one room, holding hands in the dark, praying together. Whether one believes the cause was supernatural or psychological, the outcome was real. Unity replaced panic. Faith replaced isolation. The disturbances eventually stopped, but what remained was unbreakable trust between them. In moments when the world feels unexplainable, faith, whether in God, in love, or in one another, can become a shelter against the storm. Survival is rarely clean. It leaves scars that are invisible to everyone else. A man who escaped a deadly house fire later spoke of hearing a voice call his name, guiding him through smoke so thick he couldn't see his own hands. He survived, but guilt followed him for years, guilt for those who didn't. Nightmares haunted him. Sounds of sirens made his chest tighten. Eventually, he began speaking publicly about fire safety, turning trauma into purpose. The horror never fully left him, but it transformed. Survival does not mean the absence of pain. It means learning to carry it and still move forward. Fear grows strongest in silence. When left unspoken, it feeds on imagination and isolation. A teenage girl began experiencing strange nightly disturbances, whispers, moving shadows, feelings of dread. Afraid of ridicule, she kept it to herself, her fear growing heavier each night. When she finally spoke, her family discovered a carbon monoxide leak causing hallucinations. Silence nearly killed them. Speaking saved them. Sharing fear does not make it more powerful. It makes it manageable. Hope is often the final light in every horror story, flickering but stubborn. A hiker lost 4 days in dense woods, walked until exhaustion hollowed her out. Hunger, cold, and fear blurred reality. She remembered her father's voice from childhood, telling her never to stop moving, even when everything inside says give up. She followed that memory, step after painful step, until she stumbled onto a trail and collapsed. Hope did not erase her fear. It carried her through it. These genuinely scary true horror stories linger not because of what went wrong, but because of what rose in response. Fear sharpens the senses. Darkness reveals character. Pain uncovers purpose. Life will lead you into moments where the light feels distant, where logic fails, and fear presses close. When that happens, remember that fear is not proof of weakness. It is proof that you are alive, that something within you wants to survive, to protect, to endure. Trust the warning signs. Speak when silence feels safer. Hold on to faith when explanations fall apart. And when you walk through your own shadows, may courage rise quietly within you. May hope refuse to die. And may God's protection surround you in every seen and unseen moment of your life.